Well, I will remember a lot of things. I'll remember the half a dozen so far friends that I've lost to COVID. I could not attend their funerals. Um, Even some of their own family members could not attend their funerals. So I definitely will remember that. Um, Two of them have been musicians, that I've worked with. So, they're in my thoughts and in my prayers. Um, but one of the most important things that I will remember for this COVID thing. While right now it's over 108,000, 109,000 in this country that have died from COVID, which is a humongous number, and certainly, the death of one or two is tragic, but over 109,000 is just you can't even get your head around it. But anyway, I think that the COVID crisis is a bittersweet thing. The bitter part I've just talked about, the deaths. And hopefully there will be some kind of cure for it. I agree with Ian that the normal as we once knew is not going to return exactly the same way, and that's fine. We can always grow from new things, and we are a resilient people, and we will make new discoveries and adjust our lives accordingly. That's what we do. And that's one reason why Black people are still here in this country, because we are resilient. But the whole country is resilient. But what I want to say is a positive part of the bittersweet thing of COVID is that this uprising that is going on in this country, the voice of the people is finally starting to get heard. There have always been white people that have participated in our civil rights protests and demonstrations dating back to, Martin Luther King and even before. But for the first time in the history of this country, there have been many more people who look like the people that we're trying to get to listen to us, who are joining in with our marches and our protests. And now our collective voice is being heard, whereby before the Black voice by itself was not being listened to at all. It was being shut down. Now, finally, I believe that we are turning a page in history, and a lot of good will come out of that. Because people are going to listen to people who look like them as well. And the thing of it is, with the COVID thing, there are probably a lot more protesters on the streets, because now they have the time to do this because they're not working. They're on lockdown. Their states or their counties or their towns have not fully reopened. They can't go back to their jobs just yet, etc. So they have the time to get out there and do something. And as a result, we're seeing tens of thousands of people, not just spread out across the country, over hundreds of thousands of people across the country, but tens of thousands of people in singular cities coming out and standing up for what's right. And this is not something in a vacuum. We've been looking for this for decades, for over a century. And now we're seeing that page turn. I mean, we still have a ways to go before we get to the end of the book, but at least you start by turning the pages. And this is what's happening now. And I'm very hopeful, probably more hopeful than I've ever been in my life, that things are going to begin to change. The police are beginning to see themselves for what we've been telling them for so many decades. And thank goodness for video cameras, because we were saying the same things before video, and now we have the video. So it's almost undeniable. And like I said, people are not working. They can stay home. They're tuning into their TV sets. They're seeing what's happening. And then, they're getting up and going out and participating, because now they recognize it. And they're saying, like we've been saying for years, enough is enough. So that's one of the biggest things that I'm going to remember, this historic event. And I think there is a shining light at the end of the tunnel, an extra benefit of this COVID-19 thing, that has brought people together in this uprising in this country, and around the world as well. I think that the issue of climate change will also see a turn, because when people come together and cooperate and coordinate, and they resolve one problem and get over that one hurdle, it's a lot easier for them to come together again and address another issue. The issue of racism in this country has been my primary focus. And I think, like I said, we're going to, see it slowly changing for the better with people who don't look like us, joining us in this thing. And when we see that impact, then we turn and we address another issue, like climate change. And the more people you have working together, as we've proven with this thing, it will also affect the decisions on climate change, because we figure, hey, you know what? We made it over this hurdle. Let's take over the next one.